Yeah. Well, the problem is, it seems like a lot of it is unquantifiable, or a lot of the cons to React Native have been unquantifiable. So like people will say like, oh, your program won't be as quick if it's built natively, or it won't be as quick as opposed to being built natively. And it's like, okay, well, does that really matter for an app of this size? Like nobody seems
What?
to be.
Yeah. So first of all, it probably even if that was true, it would not matter for an app that requires the display of a web view and a connection to a WebSocket server.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't think that that's true at all. I think that's entirely
Wait, why do you say that?
well. So with React Native, a lot of yeah. If we could get the build, that'd be good. Split. So with React Native, the thing of it is, a lot of these JavaScript libraries are interpreted and compiled to something. So when you talk about things like Babel and React Native, the idea is you're writing it in JavaScript, but in reality, it ends up as on the other end. So you're using all native bindings to things. I mean, you're not missing out on any of the native functionality.
Sure. um, Although writing natively theoretically would give you a little bit of an edge as opposed to using abstraction, right?
Well, see, that's not an abstraction, though, really. I mean, when I type do this thing on both iOS and Android, on the other end, it's actually going to give me basically something identical to if I was writing it natively for iOS or Android. Uh, there are cases, obviously, where things that you can optimize by writing it natively that you miss out on
Yeah,
entirely.
that's what I mean.
But
Kind of like how like any language is like an abstraction of like
yeah,
assembly,
well,
right? Yeah.
actually, the nice thing about React Native is that they account for this use case and they make it very easy to do what they call ejecting your app.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pull it into the native IDE and actually write
Yeah.
native code on top of it.
Yeah, no,
So
I've
that's
heard
what I was
that if
talking
you
about
have
doing.
if you've got a problem with a certain aspect or element, that you can actually write native code and just plug it in as
Yeah,
well.
and that's what I was talking about. So when I was, kind of spitballing with different functionality that you want,
Mm-hmm.
like, iOS stickers or different stupid ways of monetizing it, those are things where you'd probably be ejecting, writing a module natively, and then compiling it all together. And that's something that I can and will do depending on
Yeah, I gotcha.
features. But for the
Um,
core app functionality, it makes absolutely no sense to have a split code base for stupid things like web views and web sockets, just
yeah, I
simple,
gotcha.
simple things.
Okay, so the biggest like this is pretty much the only issue is that's been brought up to me a couple of times, is the design aspect of the Android and the iOS side. If you've been developing for these platforms for a long time, I think you hinted at this. You said it outright that like there are ways that Android apps work, and there are ways that iOS apps work and look, and the way they function to feel like in a native kind of way, that they have to be necessarily different from one another in terms of appearance, right?
Yeah, so again, that's the nice thing about React. So if I was to insert, so imagine like a text list on your cell phone. It's a scroll view, and then it has like buttons on the right side for alphabet and different areas.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things that are obviously native widgets to that device. In React, there is a scroll view widget, and then when you export it and compile it for iOS and Android, it is giving you the native scroll view. There is absolutely no difference, no tangible difference on the compiled binary end for what you get out of it. And any times where React doesn't support something, again, it's going to be a case where you write a little bit of native code and then you shoehorn it in. In terms of design and the way it looks and feels, React also allows you to actually inline an if-then statement that says if the platform is Android, if it is iOS, and you can actually do completely different styling, completely different features if you wanted to, depending on that. And that's all inline. That's not writing native code
Mm-hmm.
in the JavaScript.
Um. Okay. Yeah. I'm pretty much. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much there. I think we just have to like iron out like the details in terms of features, but yeah, just based on everything I've read. I mean, the biggest pro being not having to maintain two separate code bases is it's like an undeniably massive advantage.
Yeah, and the other thing that you said is so there are actually different ways that you have to do things to conform to the way Apple wants you to do things, Android wants you to do
Mm-hmm.
things like background process. That's a really, really big one. Background processes is probably the single biggest difference between the two. And Android has actually made some changes in their most recent version of Android, their most recent API level.
Yeah, either you told me
the
this,
way that,
or somebody else just recently said there's like a fresh version of that out. That might.
I think I may have mentioned that, but essentially the gist of it is that your app only gets so much amount of background time allotted. Apple is very, very. You literally get 30 seconds of wake up time. It's completely arbitrary when it happens. It depends on how often the user uses the app, and the easy way to handle things like notifications would be to use that wake up time to perform a request and say, hey, do I have any new messages? Is Steven live? And then send the notification locally. However, if you want to do like real-time push notification, that means writing a little bit of server-side code that actually hits Apple and Android's push notification servers.
And that's something that I've talked to Cake and my current web dev that I definitely want the server-side code written to do real push notifications rather than.
Okay, so yeah, so then that washes that away entirely. That was my only concern, is I didn't know if you wanted to kind of do the background process, not exactly live notifications type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
and I mean, I can help you there too, because I know that it's a Go code base I have a lot of experience with.
Gotcha. You don't think that rebuilding the chat is going to be difficult in terms of styling and functionality, or does this sound like a big part of the project? Or
so rebuilding the chat for mobile?
Yeah. Or how is that?
I don't think it's that big of an issue. I mean, I've dealt with some shit where I'm just like a ton of crap piled on my lap, and they say, here, take this, poke at it and figure out how the API works, and try to reverse engineer it a little bit. You obviously have, it's open source, the code's available, the existing chat code is available. So, I mean, it's really just a matter of getting tedious and looking at every single thing, every single action that is sent over WebSockets and replicating it. And because it's JavaScript, you can actually even share some of the exact same code in line, depending on how. That's a maybe. I don't know, but you can in theory.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah,
in my head.
That's fine. Okay. What? I guess. Well, what else do we need to iron out for the final contract? Just feature requests.
So yeah, I mean, so I was hoping that we could kind of figure out with more detail exactly the things that you want, so that we can put those as kind of a better project schedule, better milestones, so that there's absolutely no surprises, so that things are delivered on time as you want. And obviously, I know that's your biggest concern. That's what Harkin was on, is whether or not the deliverables are concrete enough that we actually see progress when it's expected. So if we could kind of get to a point of these are exactly the features that I want in these 6 weeks, then that'd be great. And that will probably be kind of a communal effort. We could probably get in a group chat with Cake or figure out exactly what you need, exactly what's doable. And then we can put together a final statement of work and a master service agreement.
Okay, I'll probably send you that email tonight then with exactly what I want, and then I'm sure you'll tell me what's doable or not doable, and then we can kind of go from there.
Okay, cool. And the monetization thing. So I don't know if you've thought about exactly how you want to be able to monetize it. Are you thinking things that are like platform specific, extraneous to the app, or are you just thinking subscriptions and stuff?
I think just hookups to what already exists, so things like Streamlabs donations and my current subscription service and Twitch. Yeah. I know there's cute shit I think you can do with like Apple Pay and Google Play and whatnot, or Google Wallet and shit, but I don't know enough about that right now to care.
Yeah, there's some bullshit you can do there. That may be worth your time. My thinking is that probably most already have their payments set up on the website and then do that there. There's also things like iOS stickers, which are like big emoticons. You could have people pay like $1 for the Destiny sticker pack. There's just different things that you can, I don't know how into that you.
Sure. Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know if there's anything at all that you're uncertain about or confused or, don't hesitate to send me a message or an email or whatever.
Okay, gotcha. All right, cool.